Welcome to the Dark Side of Beast Rider for our fourth and goal segment. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be breaking down all the news, notes, and quotes as it surrounds your Las Vegas Raiders. I can tell you one thing. There is never a dull moment when it comes to Las Vegas Raiders. That's one thing that I've learned over my first year covering the silver and black, and that's actually a good thing in a lot of different ways. One, I think the move to Las Vegas afforded me a lot of different opportunities. Now looking back, as we transition into year two, it's really one of those things where it's a very unique situation, and the Raiders are just a different type of vibe than every other NFL team out there. Not throwing shade at the other 31, just calling it how I see it. So one of those vibes that I really got to know and really got to like is my guy, Harry Ruiz from Harry, how you doing today, my guy?
Doing all right. You were about to say it. Say it, Beast. Say it.
I can't. La Nacion Raider.
You got it. You see? You're good.
No, my Spanish is horrible, dude. I need to work on that. You're helping me.
La Nacion Raider. That was fantastic, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. The weekend, it's about to get busy. I got a soccer game tomorrow to work. I got a hockey game to work on Sunday. So we just keep him busy, man.
It was funny. So I was looking at my timeline on Twitter now that everything's open source. Obviously, we follow each other, so we see weird things. Like we see what we each post. Sometimes I see my own tweets and it says I'm following myself. It's like it's weird. I don't know what's going on. But there's something that's hilarious that you post. I think we know where we're going with this. The Pop-Tart incident.
Yeah.
The Pop-Tart incident where the Los Angeles Chargers threw some shade on NFL teams, and they called the Raiders the ashtray Pop-Tart. Was that what it was about? And they showed Max Crosby. I mean, why? And then you you clap back with what I like to call a power back, and you had a empty Pop-Tart box saying no Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was like, this is the Chargers trophy case. And yesterday, Raider Nation loved it, and they were quote tweeting it, they were retweeting it, they were liking it. It was good reaction. And then I woke up in the morning today to salty Chargers fans pissed off on it, and I'm like, yo, so you cool with dishing it, but you can't take it back? I'm like, all right, I know what's up with this, but yeah, having fun on social media, and that's why I'm like, look, friendly banter, I got no issue at all with it, and apparently Chargers fans, they're too sensitive. So, but still, yeah. I don't care.
Some guy was like, the tweet that I saw was some guy was calling you a beat writer. Like, no, man, I'm not a beat writer. I'm
a radio announcer. I'm like, I call the games in Spanish for the team's official broadcast. I mean, I'm there every practice I can go. I do my reports for my website, La Nacion Raider, and I do my stuff. But he's like, oh, look at the beat writers doing this and that. I'm like, I love talking trash, especially to the Chargers. Like, unfortunately, now the Chiefs and the Broncos, they're tied with us with 3 Super Bowls each. So now it's like, well, we're tied. The Chargers, they still got 0. So, like, they love us like, oh, so you admit we're in the playoffs and this and that. I'm like, bro, you've been in the playoffs 3 times the last 13 years. What are you talking about? And then they're like, oh, you've been in the playoffs 2 times in those 13 years. I'm like, so you're just bragging about one playoff win, one more playoff appearance than the Raiders in the last 13 years? I don't get it. But, hey, that's the good thing about me. I'm actually a Raider fan. I'm a member of Raider Nation. I've followed this team my whole life. So I know the rivalries. I know the banter. I know the trash talk. I know what to hit you with when it comes especially to the Chargers, that they're so, in my opinion, irrelevant, even though they have Justin Herbert as their quarterback. They didn't take advantage of Dan Fouts' career. They didn't take advantage of Phillip Rivers' career. And so far, 3 years of Justin Herbert, they made it to the playoffs once, and they choked a 27-point lead. So whatever.
No, you know what's funny? I'm looking at the tweet. Hey, you guys got to follow my guy, Harry Ruiz, on Twitter. You guys can do that at Harry Ruiz. I'll retweet. I'm going to retweet it right now because I think it's so people can find you, because people who follow me obviously follow me. So I'm going to retweet so you guys can follow him. Harry, you got 116,000 views on that one post. Okay. Get this.
Yeah.
116,000 views, 1,201 likes. 5 people bookmarked it, 9 quotes from that, and 201 retweets. And then I was looking at it, And then the one guy's like, "Oh yeah, beat writer, okay." And then he had little like he made a meme out of it, like, "Who cares?" But here's my thing to that, and people say that when you put them on blast, and then you put things in perspective for them. It's like if they didn't care, they wouldn't have initiated the conversation in the first place. And the fact that they came back and said, "Who cares?" It's just a direct reflection upon themselves that they made themselves look stupid. So I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was hilarious. That he would come back with that clapback, which is really not really a clapback.
And someone said, "Oh, sensitive." I'm like, bro, I replied to a Pop-Tarts joke with a Pop-Tarts joke.
Yeah.
So I'm the sensitive one because they did a joke. I did a joke. You guys are the ones that are coming over crying in my lap. I'm like, that's you guys.
It is funny. I think it's you need to talk about this. I think it's hilarious because they knew going into it that something was going to happen, whether a fan, even a beat writer. Like I was kind of felt some type of way as a beat writer because like why okay, so like what was the logic behind doing something like that? You know you're going to get a negative reaction out of it, so why even put that out there? Why even that's like bulletin board material that Coach McDaniels would put up in the locker room. If I said, "Hey, the Raiders are an ashtray," no, for real, right?
We've seen it. We've seen it on the screens in the locker room where things that the opposing teams say during the week, they'll put it up there on the screens for players to see and literally use as bulletin board material. So we saw Max Crosby. I'm pretty sure you checked out his Twitter, and he had like a reply to something that we're not 100% sure. We won't be able to be sure until we talk to him about something about, okay, I hear you. Yeah, let's wait for this to happen. And we know we got the Chargers in week 4, so it's going to be very, very fun.
Yeah, let's talk about that schedule. So a good schedule. When looking at the schedule, they have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL when you go off the SOS, the strengths of schedule. But one thing I want to point out is I think there's a huge run there that you can make from week 3 to week 6. How do you see the first half of the season going based on how the team schedule looks as of right now?
I actually liked it. I mean, of course, back-to-backs. I was hosting the JT the Brick Show yesterday, and I literally closed the show with NFL. Don't screw us over with multiple back-to-backs. And, of course, after last year having 2, now we have 3 in 2023. And it's almost, I mean, beast. Look at it. They got 8 road games, and they got 3 of them in back-to-back situations.
Yeah.
Weeks 1 and 2, and then weeks 15 and 16. And here, let me get my
7 and
notebook
8.
over here.
7 and 8 too. 7 and 8.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like you got Denver and Buffalo weeks 1 and 2, 7 and 8 Chicago and Detroit, and then 16 and 17 Kansas City and Indianapolis. I mean, that's nuts. And I mean, for a team that's hosting 9 games this season to start on the road 3 out of your first 4, that means that the Raiders that were going to be at Allegiant Stadium 8 out of the last 13 games of the season.
Yeah.
So we're going to be out there often. And I mean, I look at it this way too. We can talk about back-to-back games to start on the road, but at least those are games that if they had happened in November, in December, in week 18, that meant that those were weather games for the Raiders in Denver and in Buffalo. You can go with the same situation with Chicago, where they're playing in late October. That's better to play in late October over there than late November or December or January. So I'll look at that positive aspect for the silver and black, that it was how it was. And to be honest, I really liked the schedule. I like the way it was laid out. And of course, there's things that anybody can complain about, but for now, I liked it.
Yeah, I think right now, and I have them at 9 wins. I was talking to Heidi yesterday when I was on her Vegas Nation podcast. Shout out to Heidi for having me on. She made a good point. She's like, I see 8 to 9 wins. I'm leaning more toward 9 because that means that they will finish above 500. And I'm kind of rolling with her, right? So I'm gonna credit Heidi for pointing that out, and I'm gonna say, yeah, you know what? Because I was saying 8 to 9, I'm gonna lean more toward 9 to even 10 now, based on how the schedule plays out. Because I think what's going to happen in the first 2 weeks, I think they're going to split. I think they're going to go into the home opener 1-1. I think they're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to beat the LA Chargers week 4. I think that's ammo that they're going to work with. I think they're going to not kill them. It's a divisional game, but I think they're going to beat them in a hard fought battle. And then against Green Bay and New England, I think they're going to win both those games. I literally think they can come out after the first 8 games, winning at least 5 or 6 of those games. I know that sounds crazy, but I might take this to Vegas and be like, what's the over under on the first 8? And I might roll with them.
Look, I ain't going to lie. I got my notes over here from my show yesterday that I did in Spanish on La Nación Raider. And I got the Raiders going in winning 4 out of their first 5. And I actually got them with a loss against New England. But, I mean, 4-1 after going 0-3 last year, that would be a huge difference. And I mentioned it on the radio. I use this analogy with baseball. You can't win the World Series in March or in April, but you can get yourself out of contention with a terrible start. So the Raiders, they need a good start in September to put themselves in a good position, and especially looking at comparing it last year where they had 3 divisional games in their first 5 weeks of the season. This year they got 3 divisional games in their last 4 games, and I love that. Why? Because the Raiders, in case they're in that contention for a playoff spot, those divisional games count double because you get a win and your opposing team, they stay back. They get a loss. So I love the way that the schedule was structured, and I prefer playing against Sean Payton in week 1 when he still doesn't have his horses lined up the way that he wants to. When Russell Wilson still isn't cooking, which he didn't all year long over there in Denver. And week 2, I mean, Buffalo is Buffalo. So, and going to Buffalo, I think it's a good thing that they're going over there in September, but they're still the Buffalo Bills. They're one of the contenders in the AFC. If you can give them a heck of a fight and at least leave a positive outlook, if you can win that game, spectacular. If you can just get out of there and be like, yo, you know what? We fought head to head with a great team and we came out playing good against them. I think that's a positive as well.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. And you hit it on the nail. I think these divisional games, people who don't know football don't realize how much these divisional games are valued at. And I talk about it, and I brought up Ryan Poles yesterday, the Chicago Bears GM, when he took over the Chicago Bears as an opening presser. He says, we're going to win. What's their first goal is we're going to win the North and never take it back, and then never give it back, which means that was a direct shot at Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So again, these divisional games are very important. That's why it's kind of like you cannot do anything that's out of the comfort zone or any trick plays, because at the end of the day, like, it's like you're fighting your big brother. That's the analogy that I use. It's like, okay, you come home, you fight your big brother. If he's going to throw a jab, if he's left-handed or goofy footed, exactly what he's going to do to you. So you can't really trick him. You just have to outright beat him in a dog fight. Like, that's just how it goes. A backyard brawl and whatever the case may be. So that's a great point. I mean, great minds think alike. That's why I have you on my show, because you have to agree with me. I'm joking.
Hey, we haven't discussed absolutely anything pre-show about, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you go against me here, you got to go against me there, because if not, I wouldn't have come on the air. And Beast, I respect the heck out of you, bro. So I'll come on the air with you when I got time off, and today was the perfect day.
Yeah, I love talking ball with you, and it's talking. It's funny. You use the dynamic of baseball, and I know nothing about baseball. You know that. I'm not even going to try to hide it. I know nothing about baseball. Yeah, you're a big Dodger fan. Obviously I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm a huge. I shouldn't even say I'm a huge Giant fan. I was
better say A's, because if not, I'll press this button that says leave studio. I hate the Giants with a passion.
I was a huge Giants fan as a kid growing up when they had Jeff Kent, Barry Bonds, what's his name? Robbie Thompson, was that his name? Robbie Thompson, Matt Williams, Darren Lewis.
Excuse me, I got to puke right now.
Marvin Bernard, remember the Marvin Bernard guy? I loved him. I loved Marvin Bernard. So yeah, no, I know Dodgers and Giants are a huge like those are fighting words.
I was out there in the Bay for 2 games, Beast, and I was surprised that Giants fans were actually 99% nice. And the only Giants fan that was a douchebag out there that I approached was they were taking a photo, a group of Giants fans, and I was walking out of the stadium after they beat us. And I told the guy, I was like, hey, they were telling him, get in the picture. I was like, hey, do you want me to take the picture for you? And then the other guy was like, nah, F you, you're a Dodgers fan. I'm like, all right. Kept walking, and then a Giants fan was next to me, and he's like, I'm sorry, bro. You were trying to be nice, and that guy's a douchebag. I'm like, all right, cool. I never go and if I talk crap like I did on Twitter, friendly banter. I never take it to the next level. I never cross the line. That guy, apparently he was pissed because I was a Dodger fan. all right, trying to be a nice guy. I'm like, okay.
That's weird. But people are weird. That's stupid. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
like, hey. But that's the thing.
I mean, I don't usually curse on here. Stupid's a dumb word, but I think it's stupid. Like, that's stupid. Like, it's dumb. Like, it's pointless. Like, oh, because you're a Dodgers fan. Oh, don't want to take my picture. Like, shut up.
No, like for example,
Bro, shut up.
I was
Bro,
sitting in the
you
second
know.
row the first game I went to, and Max Muncy hit a grand slam. And you know the Giants fans, they got this beat LA chant.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
we hit a grand slam, we take a big league. So I just turned around and I started mocking. I was like, beat LA. Come on, guys. Come on, no? And the girl that was sitting next to my friend, she was like, oh my God, you're so annoying. I'm like, hey, there you go. But we go back to the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just being friendly banter. Same thing. They were talking crap to me the next day when they shut us out. I was like, yo, I dished it. I can take it.
Yeah. That is as long as there's no fights. That's the one thing that gets crazy. I remember
Yeah, it's like, don't talk about anybody's mama. Don't curse. Don't do anything.
Well, I mean, you know that happens. I remember as a kid at Candlestick, and when the Rams were playing in LA, we had the BLA chants, and that's how I knew about BLA because I would go to the games with my parents, and so they'd have signs out and everything, or beat the Lambs. It was another one. It would say BLA on one side, and the other side would say beat the Lambs, and so the rivalry there was very, very like prevalent. Like, it was known. Like, and then like I would remember, like, as a kid, like when the Rams came to town, my parents would always like safeguard me in a way where it's like different from the other games, and like I knew something was off because like my parents wouldn't, like, okay, usually you have one parent holding your hand, but then when you have both parents on both sides holding your hand like this because of like what's going there, it was just bad. Like, there was just Niner fans and Rams fans both equally stupid. And so as a kid growing up, I kind of knew that at that point, like the NorCal SoCal rivalry, whatever that was at the time frame, was like really, really it was intense. Like, I was like, oh, I thought this is football, and then you see people fighting, and I don't know. When alcohol is involved, everything goes bad. Nothing good.
That's 100% sure.
All right, so there's a question for you. How did you become a Raiders fan?
I got my Uncle George, my Tío Panda. He's a huge Raiders fan, and I'm from the East LA area, and everybody in East LA has a crazy uncle who's a Raider fan. So he started teaching me about the Raiders. My dad isn't a big sports guy. My mom isn't a sports gal, but I started getting into sports because of video games. Yeah. I became a Laker fan playing Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones and Cedric Ceballos on PlayStation or console before that, and that's how I started getting into sports. And then my uncle's like, okay, let's get him into football. And it was like, he told me about the Raiders. I haven't gotten to see the Raiders win a Super Bowl, but I'm like, yo, you get taught the colors. And then I moved to Mexico, and he would take me Raiders gear, and I would rock it out there. And Mexico, you got a lot of Raider fans, but even more Steelers and Cowboys, so you always represent your team. And I just kept going with the Raiders, moved back to the States. My uncle took me to my first Raider game, and I got hooked. We went to San Diego to watch Raiders-Chargers. Raiders won that game, and then the next week we went up to Oakland, Raiders-Broncos, and the Raiders won that game. And then we went to the home opener the following year, Raiders-Jets, and the Raiders won that game. And I was like, I was going up at Mount Davis, so not even like good seats. I was
Raiders-Jets home opener. Was that like 2000, 2001?
No. That was in the 10s. I was in Mexico 98 through 2010. So it was 2011, I want to say. Mark Sanchez.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so the previous year was the hot dog incident of him eating a hot dog in the bench after they clobbered the Raiders. And then a year later, the Raiders beat the Jets. And there was a fan up in the stands with Mark Sanchez, where's your hot dog? So that was that game. And then the Broncos game the year prior was Tim Tebow's first start in the NFL. I got a good memory for that. And just going to the games, I was a Raider fan, and then going to the games got me hooked even more.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense, dude. That's a good backstory. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when people ask me if I'm an Alabama fan, I actually go in depth. Like, I'll tell you the why behind the what. Like, I am an Alabama fan because X, Y, Z, I don't know if I told you the story how I became an Alabama fan, but my uncle at the time had ALS. And so growing up, if you remember during the early 90s when Gene Stallings was the head coach, they were a very hot team. And so all the games that were on college football around the time that I would go over to my uncle's house was centered around Alabama because that's all that's on. They're a nationally televised team. And so my family would just go and watch, and they just so happened to be, it wouldn't be Cal or Stanford or anything like that, or it would be Alabama. And so that's how I became an Alabama fan. And then transitioning into the NFL media, I just gravitated toward Alabama players. They didn't even know I was an Alabama fan at the time. And then initially, like Quentin Dial and DeAndre White, all these guys would just like gravitate, and we just became friends after that. So it's just like, it's funny how like it all like comes full circle. But yeah, I've been an Alabama fan since like the early 90s because of that, because that's all that was on TV, and they were winning. I think they went to the Sugar Bowl back in 1993. And Derek Lassick is the only guy I remember on that team. They had George Teague too. But he was one of the few players I was like, man, I like Alabama. I like how they're you can tell when they step on the field, like they're not flashy in terms of their uniforms. It's just a number and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can relate to that because that's pretty cool. You know, it's not like the Miami Hurricanes with the little duck or bird or whatever it was.
Or Oregon, that they use a different uniform every game, and it's something different every year. That's something also that's super cool with the Raiders. You got the silver and black.
Yes,
you got the black and white, and that's it. I mean, you got the rush jersey for the Raiders is a white jersey with silver numbers. That's it. So it's not a lot of difference, and I love it. There's people who want to change the jersey, that you want to do different things. I'm like, nah. Yeah. Hey, I hate it on the Niners. It was my man Beast who said that, not me. No, I think you were talking about the rivalry there between those fans, that they act that way when they play each other. Not that all Niners fans are stupid. No.
Brady's my guy. He's a good guy in here. But and we do have a lot of Niner fans in here. But I always keep them 100. Like every fan base, it could be the Raiders too. I mean, Raiders also. Every fan base has their bad apples. That's all I'm saying. You know, you can't just say every fan is going to be a good fan. That's just out of the question. Like, there's no way 100% fan base is going to be like, oh yeah, they're very classy all the time. 100%. No, I've seen it both sides. So no matter what fan base, you're always going to have those bad apples. But I'm not hating on the Niners. Yeah, that's just the way freaking fans are, man. They're stupid. Like, not fans in general. I'm just saying stupid fans out there are dumb. All right, so we talked about the schedule. We talked about a little bit about how you became a Raider fan. Where people can find you, obviously, is on Twitter at Harry Ruiz. I'm just going to drop this right here so they can find you. At Harry Ruiz, you guys can just look him up. He's on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Oh yeah, your YouTube channel. Because I follow you on that. What is the handle for that one though? It's not for YouTube, because I know you have a YouTube because I follow you.
La Nacion Raider.
Okay, I didn't want to say
universal. It's all right, brother. At La Nacion Raider.
Okay.
It's at La Nacion Raider, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I got that was one thing that once I knew that I was going to come on board for the Raider Spanish broadcast, I didn't want to be just the guy that worked the broadcast. And that was the only time that I would talk about the Raiders. I wanted to talk Raider football more than that. So I was like, okay, I got to find something that I can get that domain in every social media platform. So Los Raiders, Los Malosos, which is a nickname in Spanish. The bad boys, pretty much.
Malojos.
Malosos.
Shit. Say it again.
You were all right. Lo sos.
Malosos.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah, I was looking for all and nothing, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me look for the Raider Nation, but in Spanish, La Nacion Raider, and I got it everywhere. So that's where I post my videos, I post my information and all that kind of stuff in Spanish, 100% in Spanish, from Las Vegas, from somebody that covers the team. So I'm very proud of what we're doing out there.
Yeah, you're doing a really, really good job. I really admire your work. I think your trajectory in the Raider Nation space is like, it's like a rocket.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Like, mine is like this.
Nah, you're doing a great job, dude. You're doing a fantastic job, Beast. You're doing an incredible job, man. And I'll say this: I don't invite just anybody on the air on the radio when I'm on the radio. I invite people I respect. I not only people that I look at my phone and let me see who I got contacts of and let me hit them up to see if I bring them on the radio. And anytime that I bring you on the JT the Brick Show, which is a show I host whenever JT is out of town, I'm like, all right, let me bring in somebody that can give me something, not just somebody to kill time on the air. And you always make that program even richer whenever I have you on. So believe me, the respect is mutual, man.
I appreciate it, my guy. And everyone loves you when you come on here, and that's why we have a scheduled podcast every 6 p.m. We have a Blitz pickup, and that's where I highlight someone like you just said, someone that I respect, and it's a vetting process, and I'll have that person on the show. So hopefully you can come on more. I know we're doing this on a Friday. But if you can come on a Wednesday every other week or something, that'd be dope, dude. Because I think you bring so much knowledge to the game. And then like what I want to do is I want to highlight people. Like I said, I think there's enough of the pie that to go around, right? There's enough. So my thinking is the iron sharpens iron mentality. You make me better, I make you better. How can we bridge our social media platforms to where we're both growing mutually? I mean, think about it. If we got all my subscribers to your YouTube channel, you'd have X amount of subscribers, vice versa on Twitter. So like, I think that will be beneficial because the more eyes that are seen on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, other than just like sporadically, now it's like, I know what I'm getting with Harry Ruiz. I know exactly what he brings to the table. I know where he comes from. I know there's a little bit sense of personal attachment. And I think that's really cool. So you do a really good job at this, man. Like, honestly, your Spanish radio stuff is like, I don't even know what you're saying half the time, but it's very animated and I can see your passion for it. Like, it's not like fake. Does that make sense? Like, it's authentic.
Not at all, man. Not at all. That's like so obviously the Chandler Jones touchdown to beat the Patriots, that one went not semi-viral. That one went viral. It was on NFL Network. I had radio shows in Boston. A buddy of mine that listens to a radio show in Boston, and he's from El Paso. He listens to the radio in Boston, and he's like, yo, they're looking for your call. I'm like, go on the Raiders Twitter page. It's there. And they played it, and they were like, wow, that's the call. Or in L.A., Fox Sports L.A., I'm drawing a blank right now, and I shouldn't because he's a legend. But they played the call, and they were like, wow, Greg Papa, step aside. And I'm like, that's not my intention. I'm like, yo, I'm here to do my thing. And people were like, yo, we saw your excitement there, and we felt it. I'm like, bro, every time I'm in the broadcast booth and you hear me either elated, pissed off, or any emotion that you hear out of me is real. Because if I weren't up in the broadcast booth in the press box, I'd be down in the stands. I'd be in the black hole enjoying the game with my friends. And I can't count the number of times that I was in the first quarter of the game, Beast. Yeah. When the defense is out on the field, holding on to my head because I'm screaming so loud and I'm already getting a headache for screaming on defense. But that's me. I'm having a blast out there at games, and now I get to do it with a microphone in my hand, so it's a little bit different. I can't do and say everything I would say out in the stands. I got to be laser focused. I got to prepare for the game way differently. So it's a different beast. No pun intended.
No, you're like me at the games. I get really loud. I was known to be a diehard Niner fan. I would get loud. I would slap. So where the people from the media would come down, I'd be the one to let them go down to the field because I was in charge of the little gate thing because they're had season tickets there, so like they knew who I was when I was a kid. So like the funny thing about that is they had the sign, the no trespassing green sign that was there, and I think they had it at the Oakland Coliseum too. I'm talking. It says no trespassing, and they had the finding. There's a little green sign, and so I would take that sign and I would slap the crap out of it on defense because it's just like you get everyone involved, and like people think you're crazy. Some people love it, but at the end of the day, it's like you're very passionate, and at the end, you can't fight that. Like people see right through that and they love it. So, I think,
and that's cool. The thing. It's like, for example, whenever I'm in the locker room, I'm not Harry Ruiz, the Raider Nation member, the fan. It's like if I'm in the locker room, I'm professional. How many times have you seen me wearing Raider gear at Raiders practices? Yeah. Never. And I call Raider games. I'll wear my Dodger gear because I'm like, okay, you got two Harrys in this world, Beast. You got Harry with a suit and tie that you'll see at the stadium on game days, and you got Harry with either a Dodger jersey or a Raiders jersey, and that's the two me. So whenever I go to practice, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to wear Raider gear, but you'll see me with a Dodger shirt. You'll see me with a Dodger hat and a blue polo or something. And that's the way it is. I'm in the locker room. I'm 100% professional. I'm not talking to players as a fan. I'm talking to players as a radio announcer. And then if I ever bump into them, like I'll go to an autograph signing. If they have an autograph signing, I'll go there as a fan, and there I'll get an autograph. And the guys are usually super cool. Like I've gone to a Nate Hobbs autograph signing, and Nate was super dope. You know him, and he's always great with the fans. Yeah. I remember before I ever called a Raider game in 2020 during the pandemic, I would go to the park where they were practicing because they weren't allowed to practice at headquarters, and the guys were, most of them except Derek Carr, were super cool with the fans. So it's like,
Derek Carr was not cool.
He would be like, "Oh, I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry." You remember Eric Harris, right? The safety,
of course.
So back then it was like, I want to say peak pandemic. So he was like, "Hey, 6 feet, 6 feet." I'm like, "Yo, man, it's all right. I just want to tell you, thank you for those 2 interceptions against the Chargers last year in Oakland. I hate the Chargers, so you getting those interceptions helped us win. You're one of my favorite players because of that." He's like, "Oh, man, thanks. It means a lot. You do watch the games." I'm like, "Absolutely." I was like, "Can we take a picture with social distancing?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So we take a picture, me here, him here, and we take the picture, and I'm like, "Yo, Harris, thanks so much, man." Waller was super cool. Alec Ingold was super cool. We were outdoors, so at least there was that. But Derek Carr was like, "Sorry, guys, I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry." And he's like, "All right, walk with me and take a picture." And I like took a picture of a friend, but I'm like, I'm not going to go and walk next to this guy to get a picture. So I was like, hey, everybody's different. And I saw people chasing him to his car. I'm not going to do that with anybody. Yeah. I'm like, I feel uncomfortable doing that. I'm like, if they want to stop, cool. If they don't want to stop, cool as well. Their decision.
Yeah. Interesting. I never met. Well, I of course I met Derek Carr, and we know each other, obviously. I never encountered him outside of the working environment. So, that's an interesting story. I didn't know about that.
I hate telling bad stories about people, but Pro Bowl, I went as a fan. I could have applied for a credential, but I love.
Oh, this year you mean?
Yeah, this year.
That's right, because I saw your videos.
Yeah. So I went as a fan, paid for my ticket, got there super early to get a great seat in the Wynn Field Club, and got to take a picture with Devontae Adams, said what's up to Josh Jacobs, a cool dude. AJ Cole came over. He was super nice. I'm missing another Raider that was there. Max, of course. He signed my jersey. Super nice guy. Devontae signed my jersey as well. Derek Carr, I think in the whole day, he probably signed one autograph, and that's it. What? And there were people that I know that went to that game exclusively because Derek Carr got called in when everybody else declined to go. And there was a buddy of mine that had a sign that was like, "Thank you, DC4." He didn't even look at the sign. I was like, come on, man. You got fans out here trying to say thank you for your time with the Raiders, and you can't even look over and wave or say thank you or anything. I was like, that rubbed me the wrong way.
I didn't know about that. I know because I was up in the press box. Press box, covering the Pro Bowl. But I never actually got to go on the field. So actually, to your vantage point is. And a lot of times that might have been better for me to just buy a ticket and just to take video because I didn't get field access. I was just up in the press box. And then obviously I got locker room post interviews afterwards with Quentin Williams, Roquan Smith, Josh Jacobs, of course, all the guys. But I wish I saw your videos like, damn, how did Harry get on the field? No, it makes sense.
I was right next to the field, not on the field,
dude.
Yeah, but like it's just like, for example, I don't recognize every player, but I had my cheat sheet and I had names, numbers, teams, and I was like, yo, I wanted to fill a program up for a friend of mine. Her kid sent a football with her to get autographed, and they didn't let her take the football in. I was like, don't worry, I'll get my program signed and you can take it. So got tons of autographs, interacted with a lot of the players, and had a good time. It's the only football game I can actually enjoy as a fan. Because every other game I have to work it. And the same way you say, you're all the way up in the press box. I'm up in the press box an hour before the game on the air. I'm up in the press box during the 3 hours of the game. And I'm up in the press box 2 hours post game. So I don't even get to go down to the locker room because I'm upstairs and with a 1 hour post game show. I'm upstairs recording a video for La Nacion Raider. I'm upstairs writing an article for Raiders.com in Spanish. So, I get to be down on the field 30 minutes before I'm on the air, Besides that, nothing else.
Yeah. It's a grind. Like, people don't understand the hard work and dedication that, they only see the glamorous part of it. And I don't blame them because they're not in that space. But like, even on Instagram, it's more personable, right? Mostly it's like our personal friends and family. And they say, and then, once you put an IG story up that you're up in the press box, oh, that's such a cool job. But then, like, at the end of the day, it's a job. Like, it's hard work. Like, it's just not like, hey, I'm here. Woohoo. Like, no, like,
for a 1 p.m. game, I get to the stadium at 8 in the morning.
I believe it. Because I get there. I get there.
That's what, 5 hours before the game?
Yeah, I get there around 4 hours before the game. Like you. I think there's only a handful of us that do that, though. If you notice, I think there's only a handful of us that get there like 4 to 5 hours. I think you're the first, probably. I think you're one of like the first cars that come in the parking lot at 5 hours before the game. I get in like,
we're not even supposed to be able to park at that time, and we're not even supposed to get into the stadium. But I guess that wearing a suit, people think you're important, so they let you in.
But no, it's really cool though, because like, you set up the setup to the get up there's a lot of leg work involved. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not easy because you have to prep your mind for what you're going to talk about, the scenarios that are going to play out. And then on top of that, you can kind of leverage how you want to write your articles or your analysis or your reporting based on how you see the game being played out. And if
game day is the easy day. The hard work happens all week once you get the game notes, and even before that, watching film and getting prepared for the game. Game week, it's the easy part of the week. It's when you're out there, and I'm like, everything I prepared for, I got it in my notebook, and it's like on my flip card, and it's like, okay, let's see how this game turns out, and have stats for any player that comes out on the field, and know their colleges, know which round draft they got picked, and all of that. It's like, that's the preparation. But if you don't do it, then you're just going into the game with a blank canvas and being like, okay, 5-yard rush, 10-yard pass, touchdown. I'm like, no, I want to say how many touchdowns this guy has this season, or if there's a multiple touchdown game, how many times he's done that in the year or in his career, and all of that. It's like, have all those weapons in your arsenal right next to you to be able to use them.
I'm going to write that down and copy you. I'm not. We've been on for 42 minutes and 12 seconds. If you guys like what we have to say and like Harry Ruiz analysis, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps push the algorithm to other like-minded nation like yourselves as a recommended video. All right. So with that being said, I agree with you. I think film study for me is what the meat and potatoes of how I like to formulate my analysis. And when I ask players questions in the locker room or coaches during the pressers, they know exactly what I'm talking about because of the game film that I watch. It's just something that I've been accustomed to doing and known to do. And again, to your credit, everyone watches film to a certain degree. The fact that you pointed it out, we all do it. It's just like, it's not an easy thing to do. That's the thing. It's like, it's very difficult to come up with an analysis that is proprietary information to our own and come up with the stats that you wanted to your credit, right? Like, putting up those stat lines, like I'll be honest with you, I don't even know where to start, but that's your flavor. Like, you're really good at that. You know what I mean? Like, you have things to look for, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what makes you so good. And that's what the competitive advantage I think that you bring to the table is you're seeing things from a different lens and going a little bit outside the box thinking when formulating your game plan pre and post game. I think that's awesome. I see you grinding. I see you on the computer right here. You sit right next to me, and then you're on the computer grinding all the time. And then it's crazy the stuff you have, bro. Like, it's nuts. So I think
you're talking about the flip cards, right? With all the stats that you see me adding every game. Yeah. I don't know if I have one near me, but that's my pride and joy, being able to get into the stadium. And they give us flip cards at the stadium, but they're bare. They don't have any information besides name, numbers. On the other side, they got they got heights and weights at times. And I'm like, no, I like getting in there and having my flip card, printing it on my own, paying at Office Depot to get it printed, but having way more information than other people that say, oh, here you go, I got a lineup card, I got a flip card. It's like, nah, man, you got to be there. And for me, especially as a Raider fan, I want to put out the best product possible for the Raider Nation. I do the Spanish radio broadcast for the Raiders. So most of my audience is Raider fans. It's not a
Correct.
national broadcast. If I were doing a national broadcast, then you're like, okay, you're doing a little bit more balance between both teams. But I'm prepared for the Raiders, obviously with a little bit more knowledge because I call 20 of their games per year, 3 preseason, 17 regular season. But I also respect the visiting team or the team that the Raiders are visiting because you have to have that information and make your broadcast even richer.
My question to you, we're talking about a few things. One, we were talking about, we're talking about the schedule, but then two, how does the schedule really affect the rookie class? I mean, rookie minicamp is there. It's close to the media. We're not allowed to be there. But as you look at the rookie class from 2023, what are your initial thoughts? Let's just start with Tyree Wilson. Now, before we go ahead and do that, I just want to let you guys know that he is signed under contract along with a number of different rookies. I posted up on my Twitter. You can follow me at Beast Rider. It's in the description box below, along with my other social media. But when it comes to this rookie class, let's start off with Tyree Wilson. What grade did you give that selection? And are you a big fan of that or just kind of on the fence?
I really liked it. I think that's a guy that the Raiders can evolve to be a defensive end and edge rusher that can complement Max Crosby for not only the remainder of his rookie contract, but for many years to come. And you need two beasts that are in that same mold. And of course, Chandler Jones is a guy that he's a future Hall of Famer. You look at his numbers, you look at the amount of sacks that he has, and not many people in the history of the NFL are on what he has done. But we also got to look at the reality. He's a 10 plus year veteran in the NFL. That means that he has less years remaining in his career than those that he has already played. So you want to have somebody there to be able to bookend Max Crosby on that defensive line and be able to put pressure on the quarterback, especially in a division where the Raiders play Patrick Mahomes twice, play Justin Herbert twice, and even Russell Wilson. You got to give him to respect. Even though Max Crosby is his daddy, he sacked him plenty of times during last season. You got to give him respect. So the Raiders, they know that the bread and butter is up front, and they looked at the situation and they were like, okay, the offensive lineman they wanted was gone, Paris Johnson. So Tyree Wilson, you look at it, his physical traits, and you're like, yo, this guy can be a real difference maker. And he doesn't have the responsibility in week one to get in there and be the guy that has to sack Russell Wilson 3 times for the game to be a difference maker. No, you got Chandler Jones, you got Max Crosby. You start implementing him into the game plan in situational football, or you can put him in the middle too as well. That we've seen that in the past. Be able to give him snaps and give him that welcome to the NFL moment where it's like, okay, I got to work harder now. And you look at Max Crosby in the weight room and everything he does and the way that he's the first guy in the building every day. Maybe I should do what he does to get to his level. So I like Tyree Wilson. I think that he can be a Raider that plenty of fans will be wearing his number in the future.
I talked to somebody a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago now, in regards to Tyree Wilson. And he said, and obviously he has a voice with the Raiders, of course, in the decision-making process. But he told me that Tyree Wilson is a lot of different things. One, he's not going to be a vocal leader. He's not like a Will Anderson in terms of being a vocal leader. He's going to let his game do the talking, something that Tashawn Reed from The Athletic already pointed out. So that's something that I think that we should look forward to. Number two, echoing what you're saying, is he is going to be the last one in, and sorry, the first one in, last one out. And the reason I say that is because I asked him specifically if that was the case. Is he the guy that's going to be the first one in, last one out? And he said, yeah, no question. Also, I talked about it yesterday. There's a reason why they brought him in for a pre-draft visit. Anytime a GM, doesn't matter with the Raiders, Niners, whoever, they like to bring in guys for pre-draft visits to check out the medical with their own team doctors. If that Lisfranc fracture, foot injury was any indication of a problem down the road, they wouldn't have drafted him. All right. So like if it was even at 75%, they still would have, that's too much of it. So they think that foot is going to be fine. So with that being said, what grade would you give Tyree Wilson, knowing that the injury is there and knowing that he is going to be implemented into a package form year one? Like, what would you give him a grade of an A, B, C, D, or F?
Heck, you look at everything. If he hadn't been injured, there was a real possibility he would have been a top 5 player in this draft. You look at Seattle, they ended up going cornerback. You know they love those edge rushers. They love putting pressure on the quarterback. You look at Will Anderson. If Tyree Wilson wasn't injured, you've seen all the havoc that he wreaked in college football with Texas Tech, but before that with Texas A&M too on the limited time that he got out there. He's a guy that you look at his wingspan, it's ridiculous, Beast. You can put him in the middle of an SUV and he can expand his arms and he can open both doors. That's how crazy it is. So, I mean, I'll give the Raiders a very solid A on picking Tyree Wilson. I know that I've seen your shows. I know that you're not that high on him, but I think that he can end up becoming a guy that the Raiders hoped Cleveland Ferrell would have been that kind of guy when they drafted him number 4. They ended up getting an ace in Max Crosby later in round 4. I think now Tyree Wilson, they actually knocked it out of the park with him.
Wow. Okay. So I like keeping track of receipts. I gave a C. I'm probably going to be wrong on that. So I will call myself out. I did post on Twitter, I think he's going to have 10 plus sacks. That's a bold prediction I made with Heidi yesterday on her show. Ultimately, because that's a bold prediction. Ultimately, I think he's going to have 6 to 8. Yeah.
I'm sorry. If he gets to 10 sacks, you look at the last, 6 years for the Raiders.
I know.
And I think only Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby are the only guys with 10 sack seasons.
Yeah.
Raider Nation would take that in a heartbeat.
I know. So I'm look, that's why I left a grade of a C, because I see the room that you're talking about as far as his ceiling, and I can kind of see where his floor is too. So again, it's a mirror of two different things, but no, I get it. All right. So we talk about rookie minicamp. Obviously I can't report on it because I'm not there.
Did you see the videos though? Did you see the video online? The Michael Mayer catch?
I did see that. That was like was that the one on Instagram that he made that he came out of his break and he caught it like,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There were people who was like, oh, Jimmy G is throwing a high ball. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Aiden O'Connell threw that ball. It's rookie minicamp, but it's people just want to complain about something, but it's rookie minicamp.
It is rookie minicamp. Yeah. So none of us are there. So I can't really report on something I can't see with my own eyes. So I'm not going to go that route, but let's go ahead and talk about something that we can talk about. And that is Tom Brady possibly having a minority ownership, right? Or a limited partnership or ownership with the Las Vegas Raiders. What are your thoughts on that? And how cool would that be to have Tom Brady as an owner of the Las Vegas Raiders or limited owner?
I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. Tom Brady, you look over at his past with the Patriots, and it's like, it's you can't be a Tom Brady fan after the Tuck rule. But I was like, okay, if he comes to the Raiders and he's the quarterback of this team, we got to accept him. It didn't happen. On one part, I was happy. On the other part, I was like, damn, he might have made our team better. But I was like, all right, let them do their thing. And we got Jimmy G, so I'm like, all right, I'm on board with Jimmy G now. And now this information comes out. Look, it's the smartest investment that you can make if you have that kind of money to get into the NFL with a minority stake. But let's remember, Magic Johnson tried to do it not long ago with the Raiders as well. Didn't happen. Now they got Tom Brady potentially doing so. And we know that there's that connection between Tom Brady and Mark Davis, that they're now Tom Brady is associated with Las Vegas Aces, a WNBA team, which Mark Davis owns as well. So that's something cool. And now he might be able to bring some influx of cash to the Silver and Black, to the Raiders, that the Raiders can use in another capacity. Mark Davis is still going to be the guy making decisions, the majority owner with the Raiders. There's more minority owners in the Raiders. And look at it this way too, Beast. The Washington Commanders, they got sold today. Look at the amount of money that
they got sold today. It went through.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still got to go through the approval, but everything got agreed upon. Okay. Everything got agreed upon between the Snyders and the buyers. So if you look at how much Dan Snyder paid for that team, and look how much it's being sold out. So if you, as an investor, can get away with spending money with an NFL team, that's the smartest investment that you can make. So Tom Brady, that's what he's doing, and he's not going to have any control over the Raiders. He's not going to have an office at Raider Way at Raiders headquarters. He's going to be a minority owner if the process goes through.
I think it's a good thing. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. One, because I'm from the Bay Area, and he played at Sarah High School, which is one of my rivals. So I know you hate that, but I think it's great. The Bay Area connection with Davante Adams, obviously from Palo Alto, so right down the street from where I'm from. So again, the Bay Area connection is. Could we have Julian Edelman come on and maybe he can like? he's from San Mateo.
You want the numbers, Beast?
Yeah, please give it to me. Yes.
Dan Snyder bought the then known as the Washington Redskins in May 1999 for $800 million.
Okay.
That was May 1999. Now it's May 2023.
Yeah.
So that's 24 years later. He finalized the deal to sell the Washington Commanders for $6 billion. That's 500% more of what he invested to buy that team. So per se, if Tom Brady invests, I don't know, $50 million with the Raiders, and he keeps that money in there with the team for 20 years, and someday the Raiders are sold, the price can his $50 million can end up becoming the $250 million if you compare it to what Dan Snyder did with his original investment and the money he's getting out of it. And I'm just putting the Tom Brady example because it's what was reported today. But if anybody else is allowed to buy into an NFL franchise and you just keep your stake on that team for 2 decades, in 20 years, that stake is going to be worth 500% more.
That is crazy. We've been on for 55 minutes and 55 seconds. If you guys like what Harry Ruiz just dropped his knowledge throughout this whole time, give this video a thumbs up as we provide you silver and black content. All right, so we talked about Tom Brady. We talked about the rookies. We talked about obviously the strength of schedule wasn't when it pertains to the Raiders. What else is kind of concerning or on your mind before we let you go as it pertains to the state of the franchise?
I'll say this, Beast. Last year, the team had 4 preseason games, and I wasn't completely like interested in, like, for example, you look at the draft. The team didn't have a first-round draft pick. They didn't have a second-round draft pick. The highest draft pick was a guard in Dylan Parham, who ended up being a starter in every game last season, but it was let's see what's up with Alex Leatherwood. Or Josh Jacobs playing in the first drive against the Jaguars in the Hall of Fame game, but no Davante Adams, no Derek Carr, and you're like, okay, preseason didn't have that extra sauce. That extra sauce, I think, exists coming into 2023, where you're talking about having Tyree Wilson. We got to see his availability after OTAs, after training camp, if he's available to play against the San Francisco 49ers in week 1 of the preseason. If he can go out to Los Angeles when the Raiders play the Rams on August. I had the date on my I posted it on social media, but they're going to be playing out there in LA, and then they're going to be playing in Dallas. So that's going to be something interesting to keep your eye on in preseason. I mean, I think this year it's going to be way more interesting than last year with the positional battles. You look at the wide receiver room for the second year in a row, it's stacked. They got a lot of names, a lot of players that can end up being contributors in that offense, and there's going to be odd men out. Last year, Demarcus Robinson, he got cut in the first round of cuts because they wanted to be able to give him a chance to go and get a job elsewhere. This year, Beast, there's not going to be any rounds of cuts. It's going to happen after the last preseason game. So that's also going to be interesting. You're going to have 90 guys in the building from the beginning of training camp to the end of the preseason. So that's also another interesting nugget that is going to allow us to see more names, more guys on the field during OTA's training camp, during the preseason game. So that's definitely something that I'm keeping my eye on.
All right.
And by the way, Saturday, August 19th, Raiders at Rams, 6 p.m. at SoFi Stadium. That one's confirmed by the Rams.
Oh, on my birthday?
On your birthday, bro. You got to get some work in on your birthday.
I know.
You know I'm a Leo too?
Well, that's why we get along.
Yeah, August 15th.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Our birthday's only 4 days apart. We need to celebrate together. Why don't we do that?
Right?
We'll probably
I don't celebrate my birthday, though. I usually just work.
I know, me too. I work, yeah. Let's just talk about one last thing before I let you go. You talk about the wide receiver room. One thing two things I want to talk about. One, Trey Tucker. There's a lot of criticism regarding that pick. I actually think they have a plan for Trey Tucker. I think he might be, and call me crazy, another bold predictions, Cape 30C. I think he possibly could be the top like kick return guy for a rookie in his first year. Like, I think this guy can be a top return man. And on top of that, the writing is on the wall for Hunter Renfrow, in my estimation. I think he's going to be moved after June 1. So those are two things I want to talk about. One, Trey Tucker. What is your take on him? I gave him a grade of a B. I know that sounds crazy, but I gave a grade of a B because I trust how, and what I was hearing was how they're going to use him. So that's why I'm giving a grade of a B, because the production and targets and all that stuff will be there. His opportunities will be there. Obviously, you have to work for it. But if all things created equal, I think he's going to do well and surprise a lot of the nation. But let's start with Trey Tucker 1. And then if that is indeed the case, let's talk about Hunter Renfrow 2, as far as him being possibly dealt and traded.
People that I've spoken to that know way more football than I do, they've told me that because I had the same idea. Once they drafted him with the 100th pick in the 3rd round, I was like, oh man, a wide receiver in this spot. You had a shot at the Clemson linebacker. You had a shot at the Georgia cornerback. I was like, oh man, that was a head scratcher for me. You look at the wide receiver room and you're like, man, did they really need a wide receiver there? But then I spoke with people with knowledge of more stuff than me, and I'm like, okay, Josh McDaniels, he has used multiple slot wide receivers at the same time, and they've made a lot of money in the NFL from what they did with the Patriots system. And it was like, okay, you know what? That is true. And they might have a plan that, of course, they're not going to tell us the plan. They're going to show us the plan once they're out on the field and they can wreak havoc between these two guys. You got a Hunter Renfrow who is elusive, and then you got a Trey Tucker that's super fast. You add those two weapons on the field at the same time, and they can be something that changes the game for the silver and black. And you keep rotating the guys. You bring in Jacoby Myers. You have Devontae Adams out there. You bring in Hunter Renfrow. You include Trey. It's like, okay, you can have something that ends up cooking for the Raiders in the right way. So at first, heck, if you understood Spanish and you could see my face when the Raiders drafted Trey Tucker and I was live on my stream, I love the Michael Mayer pick in the 2nd round, but then the Byron Young pick and the Trey Tucker, I was scratching my head more than I was celebrating for the Raiders. I needed that cool down period between the 100th pick for the Raiders and the beginning of round 4 in the draft to be like, okay, started reading more about the players, started seeing more video. I was like, okay, you know what? They were not that kind of pick that originally I was like, man, you had other expectations, but Dave Ziegler, you know him. He knows a lot of football. He has a lot of respect in the NFL circles. So they know way more than we do. Josh McDaniels knows what kind of system he wants to implement. We don't. So they have knowledge that we don't, and I hope they end up showing people wrong. At first, I did think Renfrow was going to get dealt. Now I don't think he's going to get dealt. We'll have to see. It's May 12th. So, Beast, you got 18 days, bro.
I think he does get dealt. And this is the reason why. You talked about how they use multiple slot wide receivers, and there's not enough balls to go around to everyone. And when Hunter Renfrow came into the scheme that he was coming into and kind of looked lost a lot of times, you can make an argument that he came in out of shape when just running and watching training camp. And then the injuries started to pile up, and everyone says, well, it's only 1 year of injuries, but those injuries can reoccur, right? Like a concussion can reoccur, and he's not the biggest guy. So if you look at the valuation versus evaluation of where you're actually going to be using him and how much stock he has left in him, because you don't draft Trey Tucker in the 3rd round to ride the pine as just a return specialist. Like, let's just be honest about that. You get him in here to groom, and you have Jacoby Myers who can also work the slot. So you have Jacoby Myers, you have Trey Tucker, Devontae Adams. Those guys are going to be on the Raiders roster beyond 2 years. Okay, I'm just saying at the very least, at least 2 years, because Jacoby Myers signed a 3-year deal. So with those 3 guys already on the roster, and then you add in Michael Mayer, who they got down the seams, and that's going to be Jimmy G's security blanket. That's going to be a good number. If I had to take a snap count on how many targets he's going to get, I would say 65 targets at least from Michael Mayer alone. So if the target share is in Michael Mayer's favor, because that's Jimmy G's security blanket, is that wide receiver, where does Hunter Renfrow fit in the equation of the amount of money that he's getting based on what they gave him last year? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you can use also the example with Darren Waller. But that's something that we got to say. It's like, look, if they
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of Hunter Renfrow, I think it would have been smarter for them to do it before the draft than after the draft. And you look at the money figures, and it's like you don't want to have dead caps in your teams after you see all the money that they're playing guys like Corey Littleton and Nick Witkowski, and they're still on the books. And you're like,
Yep.
how? That was 2020. Well,
Yeah.
they're still in the books. You see people restructuring contracts, and that ends up hurting your cap for the next year and the year after that. So
Mhm.
that also comes into play.
Yeah, definitely the salary cap does come into play. I think that's why you designate him as a June 1 post either cap casualty or trade. I don't think you're going to cut him, but as a trade scenario. But again, we have to. I don't want Hunter Renfrow to get traded. By the way, I love Hunter Renfrow, but it's not what I want. It's how I actually see things playing out. I just don't think there's enough body of work to go off of because injuries do play a role. He's a smaller guy. And again, you don't draft a guy in the third round to ride the pine when you just gave Jacoby Myers a 3-year, was it $33 million contract? And then you have Devontae Adams, who's going to get the lion's share of the reps outside. So again, it's going to be interesting. They still have Philip Dorsett there. You know, he's on a 1-year deal, but he wouldn't sign a 1-year deal if he didn't think he actually had a shot at legitimately making the roster, right? So where does that come into play? So, yeah, there's a lot
I
of
spoke with Jacoby Ford, the former Raiders wide receiver returner, before the draft at the Biletnikoff Foundation Golf Invitational, the Hall of Fame
Oh,
Invitational.
I was going to go to that. I know you're going. I should have asked you.
I love supporting the Biletnikoffs, man. They're the best. Fred and Angela, they've welcomed me with open arms to their events, and I have an incredible time interviewing former players and telling the folks about what the great cause that they support. So go to biletnikoff.org and support the Biletnikoff Foundation. And I spoke with Jacoby Ford, and I was like, okay, what do you think the Raiders are going to do in the draft? They got a stacked wide receiver room, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to pick any wide receivers. And bam, there you go. The fourth player they drafted, wide receiver.
Yeah. So, well, it's going to be interesting, man. But always fun times with my guy, Harry Ruiz. Harry, thank you so much for joining us on the Dark Side of Beast Rider here on 4th and Goal segment. Look, you can follow Harry Ruiz on his YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch. Probably. Are you on TikTok?
No, I'm not. I have my personal TikTok, but I don't use it. So I'm not young, man. I'm not on that.
I'm not either.
On that train.
I'm telling you, I have a TikTok and I don't use it either because I'm old.
Do you dance on it?
No, dude. I'm telling you, like people say to use TikTok because that's how people find us. I'm not kidding you. Like,
yeah, I know.
You don't know how many kids are telling me if you go on TikTok, you'll go viral. I'm like,
dude, what? Somebody posted my video of the Chandler Jones touchdown and he went viral. I'm like, damn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You got hundreds of thousands of views, and I'm like, damn. But at the same time, the Raiders asked me to send them the video, and they posted it. So I didn't post it on my personal ones because I'm like, yo, I'm going to let the Raiders be the ones that share that stuff instead of me, because in the past, I would post all my stuff because they weren't sharing anything. But since that Chandler Jones touchdown, they're like, hey, share it with us. We want to share it. And they got a couple more followers than I do, so it's more convenient for me for them to share it and tag me on it.
Yeah.
But then people, they just download it and post it on their own. So,
well, no, the thing is like people steal our work, and that's what irritates the crap out of me. Is these content creators steal our work, and they're not even there, and then they get the views. But then what they'll do is on Instagram, they'll tag you in the post, but still steal your video, so you don't get money from the post. So yeah. All right, that was Harry Ruiz, everyone. We are on right now. Oh, we got Harry Ruiz back on. Harry.
Oh, sorry, bro. I don't know what happened. I think I pressed something on my laptop and it just disappeared. My bad.
I was like, you didn't like the content creator thing I just said. No, it annoys the crap out of me how people steal our stuff, pass it off on their own, but they'll tag you in the post. But then you'll like, people would do that all year. And like, I get that they're tagging me in the post, but they're still, I'm still losing money because that's my reel and that's how I make my money. And they're making more money because they're bigger than, me, because I'm just starting out with the Raiders. So it's just like, it just freaking, that's like copyright stuff. Like you can't, that's illegal. Like it's trademark stuff. Like it's literally illegal.
Exactly. And for example, me, I got La Nacion Raider, and if Vic Tafer posts some exclusive news or something, I'll quote tweet Vic's post and be like, yo, this is what Vic is reporting. Go to The Athletic and say and check out the article there. Or if you post a video that I like, it's like quote tweet it and it's like, yo, there's Beast video. Go and check it out. He's saying this. Not just post the information like your own. That's not cool, man. And plus, that's also like I always say, I'm like, do I see these folks in the building? No. And that's different. Like if you're out there and you can say, like for example, we can't just report stuff that is like, yo, let's be controversial.
Yeah.
Let's do stuff to get views and this and that. It's like, yo, we got a standard that we have to follow.
Yes.
And it's like,
yes. Boogie says, I was like, damn, he didn't even say goodbye.
Bro, I checked my phone and I think it hit right here, the mouse pad, and it went to a different button. I look up, I was like, yo, where's Beast? I was listening to that creator story and just my bad. I'm sorry, guys and gals.
No, you're good, man. But no, it's absolutely true. And then like that's what I say when I see people posting stuff that's I know your content, I call them out on it, and then they block me. Dude, I'm just serious. I have no filter. Like I will because it's like it's your stuff. It's your proprietary information. Like we put a lot of work, time, and effort and sacrifice. Like we don't have to do this on a but on a freaking Friday. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
You see the anger because I get so frustrated that people do it. And you know the ones that are doing it, if they feel some type of way, they wouldn't feel some type of way because they know they're doing it. Do you know what I'm talking? We all follow the same people. We all know the same content creators, and we all know what goes on. So it's just like, stop. Like,
no, I mean, I use the same measuring stick that I mentioned when I bring you on the air. I bring you on the air because I respect you. Twitter, Instagram, it's the same thing. I'll follow you if I respect you, if I like your information, if it's worth my time to consume it, I'll follow you. And I'll be like, yo, I'll support this person. I'll support that person. And but that's the thing. It's like, there's people who can talk out of their, you know what, because they're not scared about being like, yo, I'm not even them saying I'm not even credentialed by the team.
Yeah.
What can they do to me? Exactly. But at the same time, they're not at practice seeing what we see. Like, I love being next to you during practice and you're like recording your videos and talking about the technique of the player during the session and what they're doing and the position they're playing and everything. I'm more simple. I'm recording video. So that way, when I'm talking outside the facility and recording my stand-up, I get to dress my package. That's what you call it in TV. You get to illustrate what you're talking about, but you do completely different stuff. And then you go on YouTube and you got folks giving you tons of views because it's incredible work, way different than what other people do. I remember last year, the first couple of days that I hadn't met you, but I'm like, oh, this stuff is cool. The way that he does stuff is different than anybody else here. I respect that. You know your stuff and you put it out there to your folks. And that's what the Raiders, they respect you. If not, they wouldn't have you out there as credentialed media.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like coming over from the 49ers, I've always done it that way. And I think when you do things outside the box or different, some people may look at that. And like I say, it's not necessarily right or wrong or better or worse. It's just different. And different doesn't also mean bad. It can mean a good thing. And so that's the flavor that I bring to the table. And the nation. And I appreciate that you pointed that out because I see things from a different lens because I coached and I played. So again, at the same time, I see things from a different dynamic. So this way, when people try to criticize the coaching staff for, why they have so many missed tackles. Oh, it's Coach McDaniels' fault. I'm like, no, let's back up. Look at my training camp video. Look what I was telling you guys that they were teaching and preaching. Coaches coach, players play at the end of the day. It's up to the players to actually get it down. And if they don't get it down, that's not on the coaching staff because they were trying to teach this in training camp. So that's why I always like to keep the receipts from a coaching standpoint too, because I'm going to have the coaching staff's back if they're doing all the right things that Coach McDaniels has been doing up to this point. And so that way it's a fair assessment because I know what to look for going into training camp and then throughout the season to where people cannot blame the coaching staff for XYZ because, hey, the Beast Receipts check out, when we talk about these training camp videos, Beast was actually breaking down what exactly. And then if you go to the film and then cross check what they were teaching, oh, now it makes sense. So it is on the player. So
exactly. And like, for example, I love going to training camp, and for some reason, Antonio Pierce loves coming and sitting over by the bleachers where we're at. And I just love hearing all the knowledge that he's preaching to his linebackers. And I'm like getting some mental notes for stuff that I can use on the broadcast, because I'm not going to disrespect them and just put my phone and start recording the audio. And no, it's like I start doing mental notes and be like, all right, stuff I can mention on the broadcast that it's okay, and I'm not violating procedures that we have to go through during training camp, and be like, all right, you can't talk about some specific stuff, but other stuff you can't put out there. So I love it. And that's one of the parts of training camp that I just love. It's like, that we don't get that access during regular season. We get there during personal periods, during stretching periods, and that's it. So we got to take advantage of when we're there. And like you said, a lot of respect to the coaches. Fans just love bashing folks. And I'm like, yo, I've seen Josh McDaniels do good things with the offense and with the players. And heck, he had the leading rusher in the NFL. But people don't want to see that. You look at Devontae Adams. He had a crazy season, but people don't want to see that. People go over and be like, yo, Darren Waller, he wasn't as productive. I was like, well, he wasn't available. Hunter Renfrow wasn't as productive. Well, he wasn't available. Yep. So the guys that were on the field, they were productive. And now let's see year 2 with their guys on the field. This has to be where the Raiders take a step forward and be like, hey, they're going in the right direction. And I hope it happens. That way they have a little bit more wiggle room with the Raider Nation to be able to like, hey, we're going the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Harry Ruiz. We've been on for an hour and 16 minutes. I don't want to take up too much of your time on this Friday. What do you got going on? Where can people find you? Actually, I'm going to just say I know where they can find you because I follow you. So you can follow Harry Ruiz on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at La Nacion Raider. Also on his personal account at Harry Ruiz. So I would say follow both. And the reason I say follow both is because Harry Ruiz covers not just the silver and black. I mean, he covers everything and anything that he gets his hands on, and he does
everything I get paid for to cover.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
But which, for example, tomorrow I'll be at the soccer game, the Las Vegas Lights, the professional soccer team in Las Vegas. Then on Sunday, I'll be part of the broadcast for the Vegas Golden Knights on the road game against Edmonton, Game 6 of the playoff series. Game 5 is starting right now at T-Mobile Arena, so I gotta tune in on that on TV to be able to have that knowledge of what I'm talking about on Sunday. So whatever I get paid to watch, I'll watch. Silver and black. Even if I wasn't getting paid to watch, I would definitely watch it.
So you mean you have to do work, but then also get compensated too? Yeah, you're not going to work for free.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like people don't understand. So the one team I watch and I don't get compensated for is this one, the Dodgers. Oh, I just put it on my phone right now, and I'm like, yo, that team I'll watch. I was at a World Series game that lasted 6 hours, and I was the happiest person at the stadium because I was like, yo, I put into perspective what I paid for this ticket. I got 18 innings instead of 9. I love it, and the Dodgers won. So I'm like, yo, I'm cool with that. Every other sporting event, I'm like, yo, pay me.
No, I know. We work really hard for our money, so we got to put food on the table, as you say. Right?
Food on your table and a roof over your head, and support your family as much as possible.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Harry Ruiz. I appreciate it, my guy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll have Harry on more often. Thank you, my guy. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Shout out to your loyal fan base, your supporters out here, your viewers. I'm one of them. I'll watch. You'll see my comments here and there. I usually just put you on my TV while you're on the air, and it's
I get the text messages. I get your text messages, and most people are on here. Just little secret here. More people are on when they watch our live streams are watching it like how you watch it from CTV. They call it CTV. So make sure that when people like when you want social media engagement to have them. If they're following on other social media outlets to like encourage those other social media outlets because they can't really type through the YouTube channel because they're watching you on TV. So just a little.
That's what I do. I got you on my screen, and then I'm like, all right, let me get my phone out to leave a comment for Beast. But I've got people that do the same thing in Mexico, that they're watching me on their TV, but they also got me on their phone and they leave comments that way. So we got to engage with the Raider Nation, man. And you're getting to know them, and it's different. It's not a fan base. It's a family, the Raider Nation.
Oh, no, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Harry Ruiz. I appreciate it, my guy.
Of course.
All right, that was Harry Ruiz. Go follow him on La Nacion Raider. I put him up on my Twitter account. I am also going to post him up on the YouTube and all these other social media platforms. Look, if you guys like the Silver and Black content that I provide on the daily, having quality value guests like Harry Ruiz, give this video a thumbs up and support your boy. So again, this has been a very, very lively, entertaining live stream. Harry made it a lot better. Right? Harry made it a whole lot better. And thanks to him, we had a lot of people on here talking about the Silver and Black from a different perspective. And so, again, there's 19 of you guys watching right now. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what I have to say and report on the daily when it comes to your Las Vegas Raiders. There was some talk as to whether or not I would report on the Raiders rookie minicamp. Unfortunately, we don't have access to that. It's closed off to the media. Unlike the 49ers, they would open it up. But, I can see why Coach McDaniels would close it off to the media, because they're rookies, right? You don't want them. There's a huge learning curve there. So trust me, I've been around enough rookie mini camps to know that installs take a lot of time, and they're probably not even going through installs right now. They're probably just looking at the techniques and working out the fundamentals and 101s and all that stuff. So again, how do you come off your stem? How do you come in and out of your breaks? Do you show? Do you come up too high? Do you come, you know what I'm saying? So there's different things that you look for when I watch training camp, and I'll be posting those practice videos that you all come to love. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you guys want to support the channel through a super chat or super sticker, please do so. We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes and 45 seconds. So if you'd like to support through a super chat or super sticker, and you like the Silver and Black content that I provide on the daily on this Friday and throughout the work week, please do so. And it would definitely help out the channel a lot. Also, if you can't, just give this video a thumbs up. It will push the algorithm to other like-minded nation like yourselves as a recommended video. Also, looking at the analytics, I'm like clockwork, man. So we have 5,200 subscribers. Congratulations to the DOB. We just hit 5,200 subscribers. I will say this. We only have 14.5% of the people on here who, that was my guy, Harry Ruiz. He said, thank you, brother. Good time, like always. Yeah, Harry Ruiz does a really good job. I love Harry Ruiz, personally. Good friend of mine. But getting back to it, we have 5,200 subscribers. Turn on the bell notifications because we only have 14.5%, which equates to 752 subscribers out of 5,200 that have hit the 14.5% threshold of the bell notification. So be sure to hit that bell notification so you get notified when I go live and when I update content, because again, we get questions asked every single day that were in past previous live streams. So in order for me to hop on and do a live stream, there's a lot of legwork involved. I understand you only have 24 hours in a day to follow who you want to follow because you guys have lives, right? You guys have family, you guys have friends, you guys have a thing called a social life, and you guys have a thing called work. So again, I understand that. My thing is be sure to watch all my live streams before having and asking a question, because odds are I already covered it yesterday, 2 days before, 3 weeks after, or even 4 months later, right? That's still relevant. The live streams have no expiration date. I'm telling you. So be sure to catch up on all the live streams. And again, it's your choice to do that. I can't force feed you to do that. But at the end of the day, if you guys like my content and if I'm your number one source from a Raiders beat writer perspective, and you like my insider information that I provide on the daily, you're going to want to do that. Why wouldn't you? Mac Teddy says, great interview. Thank you so much, Mac Teddy. I appreciate you. I like your logo, by the way. That is dope. It has a Raider logo and some other stuff in the back there. All right. So we got Aussie Raider in here. Thank you so much. He just left a comment. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, obviously I get all your guys' comments because it comes through my phone as a notification. So again, I respond to everyone and anyone. In fact, we got trolls in here, and some Niner fan called me a hood rider from going to the red and gold to the silver and black, and he called me a hood rider. I don't know what a hood jumper. I don't know what a hood jumper is. I never even heard that word, but that doesn't sound like a good thing. That doesn't sound like good vibes. But Aussie Raider Aaron says, let's effing go beast. Thank you for all the hard work, man. I'm going to like it, bro. Gonna like it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Aussie Raider Aaron. Thank you so much. And he wrote that on the community post. Again, go check out my community post here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, get yourself a YouTube channel. What are you waiting for? Our goal is to hit 10K subscribers. How do we do that? We talked about it yesterday, right? Talked about it in my latest static video that I made, and thanking everyone for the super chats that we got from yesterday live stream and the day before that. So again, if we here in the Beast Nation just tell one friend to subscribe to the YouTube channel, we'd be at 10,000 subscribers tomorrow. Unfortunately, like I said, people are lazy. They don't want to do it. But today's the weekend. All right. If you're waiting for your food out and about at a restaurant and you're watching the ball game, watching the Vegas Knights, watching, the Lakers and Warriors game right now, and you're sitting there and you have nothing else to do, and you're like, oh, okay, there's downtime. Obviously, we know there's downtime. Stop. Timeouts, halftime, whatever the case may be. Just like, hey, right now, just go to Beast Riders YouTube channel, and you have a Gmail account. I know you have a Gmail account, and subscribe to the channel. Boom. Done. But thank you so much, Mac Teddy. I'm glad you like the interview that we provide on the daily. This is fun. And again, it's a huge vetting process. I know people want certain content creators to come on my show and for me to hop on their show, but it's a vetting process, right? Because as a beat writer, I need to protect my brand, and I need to protect my credentialed beat writer access, right? And how do we do that? So there's a huge vetting process involved, and again, as much as I want to have all the people on here, we can't really do that. So we're gonna have as much people as we want on here, because I do want people on here like Samoan Raider, like Mr. Fitz. I'm going to be collabing with those guys. I love those guys. They do really solid work. In fact, Samoan Raider was the first one and only one to give me credit when Jimmy Garoppolo's press conference was delayed, and I was the first and only one to report why it was delayed. People were making assumptions that it was an injury, that he didn't pass his physical. I was like, no. Literally, I was told that was contract related. Put that up there, and who gave me credit? Samoan Raider. So I will always remember that. Samoan Raider, Mr. Fitz. They also have Oost Nation podcast. Go check them out. They're on Instagram. They're on YouTube. They're on all these other social media platforms. So go ahead and check out those guys. I'll be on their live stream and their podcast as well. They invited me on, and we're going to be working out that. And then hopefully we can work a YouTube channel collab where we can be and promote each other's YouTube channels. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Raising people up, bringing the good vibes only. And they are content creators that do a really good job. Now, the problem that I have, again, is those other content stealers. Don't steal my content, man, and think that you can get it. I mean, Harry Ruiz just came on and said the same thing. I mean, we put a lot of work and hard work and dedication into it. Like, we're the ones there. So in order for content stealers to put out the information that they're getting from us without giving us credit, that's kind of like a slap in our face more times than not, right? So you can't really say it's a bad thing. You can't really say that it shouldn't, it should or shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. It's wrong and it's unethical. And so that's why we get really upset when people do that. So don't get mad at me, or don't get mad at Harry, or don't get mad at anyone else who tries to downplay your grind, because your grind is not honest grind, right? That's all I got to say about that. So again, be sure to turn on the bell notifications so you get notified when we go live and update content. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. And the reason I say a 5-minute break, because I'm going to hop back on. We have 13 people watching right now. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to enter the chat and talk Raiders football with me on this Friday. 36 likes in here. Not bad. Not bad considering we have the Lakers and Warriors going on. Not bad because we have other people watching the Vegas Knights right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. But all right, so I think we're going to go ahead and end this live stream. We've been on for 1 hour and 27 minutes and 56 seconds. If you guys are watching the replay, please consider sending me a super thanks and support your boy because at the end of the day, it makes these worthwhile. Along with people who liked it and commented, that's just as good as well. I know times are tough, so be sure to hit the like button on your way out. Or if you're watching the replay, hit the like button and engage with me on this platform. I will get back to every single comment, and you guys know how I do. So again, if you guys are on other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, and you guys want to support on Venmo, send me a Venmo donation. All you guys got to do is look up at Beast Rider, and there I am. If you guys also noticed, I uploaded my profile picture to now, let's just face it, I'm with the Raiders entering year 2. So I changed my profile picture to reflect that. Got to do it on a few other social media platforms as well as Twitch and LinkedIn. I will go ahead and do that right now. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Take care for now. That's it. And we'll be hopping on back on Sunday for another Pick 6 at 6. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good night. Beast Rider out.